Welcome to Meta Tripping, y'all. As you can see from the video, it came to my awareness that there are some other groups that require readings, and perhaps some of y'all who have already tapped into some of, how many pick a cards did I put? I think I only posted, the past readings, the most recent readings will simplify it. There are certain waves right now, and I knew that I actually ended up, when I was having release dreams, certain things that were tried around the beginning of the month were tried again in the dreamscape. And one thing I've noticed before I get into that is when I'm dealing with the dreamscape, when I've really... best way I can put it is when I've really kind of nailed it and overcome something. When I'm tried in the dreamscape, like I can't be tried, or when I'm really firmly rooted in a certain principle, it just doesn't work. It doesn't get a rise out of me, which is saying a lot. So if you're finding that in your dreamscape, certain nightmarish type things are attempting to get a rise out of you, and you're seeing them for what they are while you are asleep. And I would not classify what I had in the release dreams as lucid dreams. These were just straight up release dreams where, yeah, I was present in them, but it's not like I had in mind, like when I lucid dream, it wasn't like, oh, I'm dreaming. It wasn't that sort of thing. It was very clear, but, it wasn't conscious dreaming in the same sense. But you know that your seeds have taken root, certain principles you're upholding, certain pathways that you're moving forward on when a release dream comes for you and you don't become frightful in that dream. And this is the second time it happened this month, and similar tricks were attempted. It was a similar theme, which really feeds into what's going on in waking life and some of how I've been tried over the past 2 or 3 days, and I just kept rising up in the wave regardless because I'm tired of that trick, that particular trick. It's very clear to me, when it's happening, and I do have, of course, the aid of spirit if I start to go into thinking about it too much, because what I've noticed is thinking about something too much that's attempting to pull you down can actually open a doorway into it because you're placing your attention on it. So it's kind of best to acknowledge to the best of your ability, oh, this is a trick, and then just shift your frequency to another thought. And if you got to say 100 affirmations to get into that, and you probably won't have to say that many, but if you when you get into the trance of it, by repeating, by chanting an affirmation, like I accept myself, that's a very powerful one right now. It's powerful in general, but it's a very powerful one right now because, the subtext is alchemy on that card, and this is alchemy season. This is where we transform, it's all about transformation. So there are some very powerful opportunities now to push forward with strength, and it's not even like pushing, it's decision making, and allowing kind of the transfiguration to take place within that primal wave energy that came up in the full moon in Aries, can now be used to kind of disintegrate those old timelines from within. You can literally feel it in your body, but it's a different kind of burn. It's like that good burn. Like if you're, like you're doing like crunches or whatever, it's that good burn that you have, you know what I'm saying, in your gut, because you're working your muscle, and you're taking possession of that area of your body, of your own self, as opposed to being possessed by something else. So it's a really, really excellent time to work with this process. This process would like to bring us down, would like to have us worrying right now, would like to have us feeling like all is lost. But if you recall, in the hero's journey that you see and in every movie and that you read in every book, because that is the template that they use pretty much for at least if you're doing like a 3-act, some people look at it as 4 acts. I've had a tendency to like that better myself. But if you look at it as 3 acts, that's a traditional model, just to make it simple. Joseph Campbell has that hero's journey, and that is what, Act 1 with the inciting incident that incites what's going to take place next in the story. You have your midpoint, and the midpoint is when you're like shifting between worlds, because whatever this inciting incident was has now put you in a pivotal position where, in order to safeguard something, in order to acquire something that you feel like you need, whatever the plot motivation is for the main character or the protagonist happens to be, it's going to require movement. It's going to require digging deeper for that personal power in order to attain it. And if this is, you have all sorts of different models, like the monster in the house, so to speak. Situation can be very sudden. This is where you have to think on your feet, like Jaws. And I'm trying to think, what was that? Eight-legged freaks? I can't remember what it is. You know what I'm saying? It was like the spider movie, and they were huge spiders. Just any movie where it's like there's something in the house, and you have to safeguard your territory. Stranger Things uses a monster in the house plot. Boom. Right? The series, that's a monster in the house plot. Something's trying to invade, you're trying to get it out. You're trying to figure out how to stay ahead of being consumed by this thing long enough to figure out what the hell is going on and what the solution is, right? So that's very similar to what we have been going through. And of course, Stranger Things was no accident, and I would be very surprised if this was just a fictional excursion that a writer happened to have, or a group of writers happened to have. I think it was because certain factions know the time, it was speaking directly to what's happening that, folks that are, more so in the know. They know what's happening. You know what I'm saying? And this is their way of communicating it. And that's, very, we hear this in conscious circles, absolutely, but that's something that, those facts were laid down to me very early on by my beloved mentor, who I'd have to get permission to name, so that's why I'm, vague or whatever. Probably when I have that more private group, those who are inclined to join, that's where I'll be most more than likely sharing more of myself and that sort of thing. But to keep this recording on target, the all is lost moment, you can see it in the series, you know what I'm saying, where, oh, wait, I can't, because that's like spoilers, and then I have to go through spoiler alerts. Those of y'all who've seen it, the all is lost moment is a certain key character you think is lost to them, when an act of bravery is exacted, and, you're not sure if this character is even around anymore. And it's up to, the group to figure out what to do next type steez. Those are all as lost moments, you know what I'm saying? That's what's going on right now. If you're not working on your waves, if you're not, like, grab an amethyst. I have a video that I've already recorded that I'll be placing. I'm going to make sure that I post in this time. It's very important. There are tools, you know what I'm saying, and amethyst is foremost among them. And moonstone is pretty good as well for those mother vibes, those feeling nurtured vibes, those kind of feeling, soul healing vibes. And there will be more about that in the video that I'll be posting next. But this reading is going to go up first, for sure. So, in the midst of things looking like all is lost, that's when you have your true test of character. Props to Van Hunt. I love that song. Y'all have no idea. I might do a cover of that song. I really might do a cover of that song because I have sang that song and cried singing that song. Just saw Synchronicity. Go look it up if you're not familiar. Van Hunt. Y'all should know who Van Hunt is, but I'll spell it for those of y'all who don't. VAN is the first name, and HUNT. And just look for character. I believe is the name of the song. And it's where is your character, the one who keeps you going, and like in the face of disappointment. Who are you in the face of disappointment? Are the lyrics. Who are you in the face of disappointment? Where is your character? The one who keeps you going. And that is what to be looking for right now. And although our character a little bit has shifted here and there because we're learning how to be better to ourselves while still maintaining compassion for others, your heart is your compass. That is literally the card emotionally that came up this month, and that's what you have to find. If you are feeling depressed, if you are feeling angry, if you are feeling like you are at your wit's end, you don't know where to reach for your strength, you don't know how strength is going to come to you, you have an infinite amount of strength available to you to overcome any challenge you're beset with. And it is only by giving permission to something that's trying to take you over that you fall into a failure lesson. And I'll say lesson because a failure lesson, that's what it is. It's another opportunity to learn and gain wisdom so that next time you can succeed. Even if you have a bunch of so-called failures, next time you can succeed. This is the hero's journey. This is why we watch movies, because inherently we know that is what we're dealing with here in this realm. Each and every one of us on our personal journey has to find our inner hero, our inner hero, a.k.a. Haru, which is, it's that Haru sees. Taking it back to Kemet, these are old, this is an old story. Repeated ad infinitum. You know what I'm saying? Maybe that's incorrect to say. I won't say ad infinitum. Scratch that from the record. I'll say times that, with the population. You know what I'm saying? Times the population. Every single person is dealing with some kind of hero journey. That's what you're dealing with right now. And the all is lost moment comes before the happily ever after. You know what I'm saying? Or the resolution. For those of y'all who are like happily ever after just sounds a little too lofty for the present conditions. Well, the resolution. Right? If that resonates. You know what I'm saying? For those of y'all who might have an objection to happily ever after, shoot, I'm all for happily ever after right about now. So, reaching deep right now is the move. And that is what this reading is all about, y'all. I don't want to drag out this intro. I think it's important that we get these messages together. Alright, so it's going to be two groups. This is coming through spirit. So we've been bouncing back, and forth with binary points. So this is intended to be an evergreen reading. Some of y'all know them as timeless readings. Basically, it means you can just tune in anytime that you feel drawn to it. And even if you've listened to it before, and this time you're feeling drawn to the message from the other group, then that would just mean that you've moved into that frequency. And now you're looking through that lens and discovering kind of what work is to be done there and what hope looks like in that situation, that sort of thing. What to expect. So clearing the deck. Decide your purpose, Fluel. That's, I'll just mention it. It's a 40 card heart mission. Datura is the flower associated with it. Be very, very careful with Datura essence. make sure you get it from a trusted shaman or curandera or, herbalist who really knows the correct ratios, because it is a shamanic herb. You can have like that vision journey experience with it, and it's not to be entered into lightly, but it's great for ascending, into a heart frequency. So that means like crossing the bridge, so to speak, crossing over the crossroads. All right, y'all? All right, so if you'll take a moment, if you haven't already, to look into the description box and decide which reading you feel drawn to, which reading you feel Spirit is drawing you to. Flex those intuitive muscles, because the more you work those intuitive muscles, the stronger they get. So employ them now and select either group 1 or group 2. I'll give you all a moment while I shuffle to do that. And then if you need more time, you can press pause, and then depending on what group you select, either just unpause the video at that point if you're to group 1 or scroll ahead. Use the scroll bar to move to the timestamp for group 2. All right, y'all? All right, so at this time, I'm going to have y'all pause this because we're going to be moving on to Group 1's reading. All right, Group 1. Listen, you have on the top of the deck, allow yourself to be cared for, group 1. The subtext is receptivity. All right. The card in the yang placement of action, where you should be focusing your action, basically, within the conditions you're in. It's a 1D card, so you're dealing with existential issues. You're dealing with existential issues of worthiness. You are worthy is the card. The subtext is follow divine guidance. If you are experiencing a very deep crisis that is making you feel like you're somehow unworthy of existence or what have you, meditate with the card. If it's a serious type of situation, I'm going to have a hotline number that you can call in the description box. These energies can be heavy and they can be intense, but this is where you can get into your heart space and overcome them. Follow divine guidance is very important here. So whether it's coming through your dreams, whether or not you realize you're having a clear audience experience, but you're having thoughts that sound like something higher is encouraging you, that's clear audience. And the more that you give it the attention that it would require to form a proper connection with you, or form a proper connection with you, so that you can come out of any implants that may be attempting to, or may have been for a long time attempting to hijack your mind. This is where you can be the hero. This is where you rise up as the hero from your own story, and you acknowledge your worth. Some of you are having a very difficult time seeing the light in your situations. Draw back, rest, get into more of a relaxed state, breathe your way through it. Go to those that have your best interest at heart, who will listen to you, even if it's a scary type of situation. Maybe it's someone you haven't talked to in a while or what have you. If you need to apologize, then apologize for that and let them know, like, you really need someone right now. That's going to be massively helpful. I feel the energy will lighten up in that situation, and you'll be able to acknowledge what's actually going on from the seat of your power. All right, so remember, your power is your own, and when these situations come up, it's because something is attempting to take your power. It's not that you're weak. It's not that there's anything wrong with you. We have all made mistakes in life. You know what I'm saying? Learn from them. And, if you find you've been caught up in a loop, well, we've all had our loops. Everyone's had their different loops they've been caught up in. You know what I'm saying? One person's loop might look a little more glamorous than the next person, but it's difficult across the board. So beating oneself up at this point is not going to get it. Taking account of where you have erred, where you have made mistakes, however, but just taking account of it with that mentality, like, where have I made some mistakes? So that you can make a firm decision that you would like to move past that mode of behavior. This is where you would gather the power. Is a bit, Spirit's giving me gather. I was going to say anchor into the power, but what is it with me and the word anchors? But Spirit is saying gather the power to make that your move. All right? This can be affecting divine masculine embodiments because the divine masculine placement in this spread can speak directly to that. If you're feeling weak, if you're feeling like you can't lift whatever burden, back away from the burden and gather your head. That's like the main thing. And acknowledge you are worthy. Turn this into an affirmation. Because the card is telling you you are worthy. Follow divine guidance. So turn that into I am worthy. I follow divine guidance. And chant it until you get into a better frequency. Whether you have the deck or not, utilize that. You know what I'm saying? And amethyst can help you, but if you're dealing with really, really intense feelings, pair it up. Spirit's telling me to pair it up. Pair it up with moonstone if you have those on hand. Anything water-based, bath, taking a relaxing bath right now can help you. Releasing tears can help you. But as you release those tears, know that you're going to be okay. Go into your all is well space. What I'm picking up is actually happening with y'all right now is like something is furiously attempting to kind of beat you down on an astral level. So when you can recognize that, whether you're seeing it through astral vision or not, you're feeling it, recognize that these feelings are not like your own. These are feelings that are being imposed through illusions and delusions. And they are very, probably very simple or simple-ish, at least moderately simple solutions to whatever it is you are facing. So if you can bring yourself, that's what the amethyst can help you with. It can bring you back into that crown chakra focus. If you can bring yourself up into a higher sense of reasoning and look at this through a spiritual lens, it will help you to maintain, your vigilance within, and acknowledge your needs. So if you need a lot of sleep, or if you need to be more active, whatever it is that you're requiring, you'll be able to hear yourself better. You'll be able to hear yourself, not the delusions that are being projected. Probably in a 4D level. So, because typically that's where, when 4D comes up, it's been that type of energy that's tried to, it's been trying to play with people. So divine masculines, you might feel beaten down right now, but tomorrow is another day. That's what's coming through spirit. And you have to have faith that you're being watched out for, to get through this. Have that spiritual faith. You don't have to put a name to it. Some of you have become disenchanted with religions that were imposed upon you in childhood. It's not about religion. Spirituality, God consciousness existed before religion. Facts. You can track it historically. You can look at the age of Earth. You can look at the oldest human bones. And then you can look at, as far as you can go back to track religion. Religion is younger. All right, so getting through things and surviving, it has been done down here. This is how it's been done, and you are being watched out for. So remember that, and you're not alone. And this is your hero moment in the movie. And all is lost moment is an opportunity to defy that illusion that the Matrix would like you to buy wholesale so it can eat your energy. All right, really, really, really important. You're strong enough to get through whatever you're dealing with right now. All right, y'all. I'm going to quickly just touch on the Divine Feminine, and if I need to come back, the energy is extremely intense with the Divine Masculine card. What I'm picking up, and again, this can happen for feminines as well. You can be a female, and it would just be your Divine Masculine energy within the action part of you, the spirit part of you, the part of you that, you know what I'm saying, pushes forward and makes things happen. That would be the area being impacted right now, whether you're male or female. But for those who are actual Divine Masculine embodiments, it would be particularly difficult energies that are attempting to mess with things right now. You can get through it. You can get through it. You can get through it with relaxing. But we'll get to that in a minute. Divine Feminines avoid despair. Divine Feminine, Divine Masculine energy, and I'm the type of person who peeps things and I pay close attention to what's going on with it, unless I'm having a strong, knowing to speak on something, before I get into it, I study energy, I figure out what I'm dealing with, you know what I'm saying, before I jump to conclusions. And what I've noticed in this journey is the Divine Feminine and Divine Masculine go hand in hand. So if one of you raises your frequency higher, the other one's going to raise the frequency higher too. All right, so Divine Feminines come out of despair, come out of worry, because the Matrix is trying to get you too. The Matrix is trying to make you worry about things. The Matrix is trying to make you feed into expectation that the worst is coming. Anything that comes your way, you can get through. And the facts are, a lot of the things that you're worried about having, come at you can't really do so at this point without your permission. You can actually switch your frequency and completely change the wave. You can flip the timeline, Divine Feminines. This is where you're at right now. This is why you're being tried so hard. Because if you don't feed into it, you're going to flip the timeline into a higher resonance, and that's going to affect everybody, Divine Masculine included. So you're holding a lot of power right now, and this is 8D. This card is 8. It touches on your eighth dimensional aspects, the eighth dimensional passageways, and whatever challenges you have to deal with there. And here, the self-mastery is over your sacred waters. What is going on in your sacred waters, your higher astral waters? That's where you want to go. You don't want to be in the lower astral. Lower astral got nothing for you right now but pain and trauma. And how many times do you want to keep going through that? Go up into the higher astral. Go up into the higher astral frequencies. I don't usually sound this serious, but there are serious things in the air. And it's take action time. This is where you sober up, you come out of that despair, and you say, you know what? No. Because I'm the holder of the space, I'm the portal. No. Your gloom and fear projections and delusions can't come in. No ins in Mikasa, you can't come in my realm. Period. That is where we're at. All is well. Go up into that higher astral energy. If you have the flower essence on hand, impatiens, IMPATIENS, is what's associated with the card, and that came through spirit. Every single flower that came up on everything pretty much in the deck, you know what I'm saying, came through spirit or was spirit guided, spirit led. So handpicked for this moment. These types of moments. Impatience. All right, y'all. Go get you some to help you work with some of the waves that could possibly come up in the waning moon. But hopefully not. Hopefully you just shift your perspective. Divine masculines, hydrangea is what is recommended for y'all. And for both, like, you don't have to have a flower essence. You can work with the actual flower if you have it on hand, have it around you, what have you. You can also meditate on the spirit of the hydrangea and the spirit of impatiens to help to bring you up into a certain type of frequency. It works. This is how, like, if you have any doubts, then do it and find out for yourself. It changes the waves. And if you change the waves right now, you change the physical manifestation, because the way things are synchronized and how quickly things manifest is just, it's a whole different, it's quantum. We're dealing with quantum things. That's why this is so disorienting, but you are absolutely built for it, because you incarnated at this time knowing this is going to happen, y'all. We incarnated knowing this is going to happen. And I'm not usually this serious in my reading, so I hope that my tone is being received for how it's being extended. I'm concerned. I'm concerned, but I'm maintaining objective, and you can do the same. Maintain your objectivity at this time. Subjectivity can be, the wrong end of subjectivity can really put you in the incorrect place in the astral and cause you to have to go through certain types of timeline patterns. You know what I'm saying? Again, and it's just not necessary. It's just not necessary, y'all. All right. So, also divine feminines. Working with Moonstone right now is going to help you come into what I'm picking up is kind of the wisdom of the matriarchal lines, where you'll just know the answers and the way to go moving forward. So please do so. All right. So, all right, y'all. I'm gonna move to the clear sight card, I think. No, Spirit's guiding me to move to Think, Feel, Embody, which is really one of my favorite cards in this deck. There's just something about it. It's 90 energy typically is something to deal with until you break through. And when you break through, y'all, it goes from that challenging Kundalini energy, in my experience, to this awareness at a certain level of being able to handle anything that comes your way. And we're at the 33-minute point, so peep that as the sentence is coming out. So, Think, Feel, Embody. The subtext is frequency and vibration. Frequency and vibration, as you are up-leveling, and remember this month, as you up-level and release, you go into higher waves. It's not like before when we could release but find ourselves in a down wave. You're going to immediately go up. And that's how it's working throughout the month. We'll see how December's going to work. I usually do it a month at a time because I've been juggling like regular life stuff too, like the next person. In the future, I might do months ahead and post those when the waves are a little less challenging. Whenever that's going to be. I'm just playing, y'all. I mean, kind of. We do have to be prepared. A certain level of vigilance and awareness is necessary on this journey. Just in case, as you're moving up in waves, you need to be in touch with your star player. What I'm picking up from the Think, Feel, Embody card is, there is strong opportunity to tap into a certain level of third eye experience and the clear sight card is actually the grounding card. So it's probably when you're going to come to grounding, but the embodiment, but we'll get to that in a minute. And that's God vision, the clear sight card, talking about God vision. That third eye card. But there is the opportunity here, I'm going to say, for divine masculines, up-leveling and releasing. There's an opportunity here to come to clarity, period. It's a level of clarity that it's like taking into account but taking into account from a sober place. So get into the frequency and the vibration waves. I just rock this affirmation. I can handle anything that comes my way. Our apologies. I can handle anything that comes my way. That is going to give you access to the aspects of yourself that can handle anything that comes your way. It's that simple. It's just getting the mind to come out of the programming that tells us everything has to be difficult. It does not. All right, so Spirit is saying that's adequate for this card. I guess there really isn't much more to impart. It is being added on from Spirit. Now, when you ground that realization, there are going to be, the way that it's feeling, it feels like a clearing process. Okay, Spirit is saying reorganizing, yeah, because I'm seeing it almost looks like it's almost like an astral level of chaos, but it's not coming at you. So, okay, yeah, so it is incorporating. The visuals I was being shown, though, were throwing me for a loop for a hot second as to how to describe it. But it's going to be humbling, but it's going to also, at the same time as being humbling, it's going to be, what's the word I'm looking for to describe this feeling? Like, it's going to be good for the heart. It's going to be like a really deep realization, like everything is going to be okay. But from a place of empowerment, not everything's going to be okay and then you just rest on your laurels and just let whatever happen. But like, okay, yeah, like more of an I can succeed flow. And getting into that flow, it's, from that point, you know what I'm saying? It's going to, just at that point, you don't want to go too deep into the trying to take on every single challenge that comes your way, because that's the divine masculine response when you realize you're a winner. When you realize these things trying to make you feel like you're a loser or trying to do it because you like the ultimate winner. You're the winner of your own story, the hero. When you realize that, there's a little bit of a... There's a phrase I would use. Maybe I'll do that when I have the private group, but this is public. I don't know the ages of the people tuning in, so I can't say what I want to say. But it's a, you got your shoulders like, your shoulders are upright. You know what I'm saying? Flexing. There's a good G-rated descriptor. It's getting into that flex mode. But, when you get in that flex mode, I just, don't go looking for trouble just because you come into that power. That's 9D power. You don't want to start trouble with it. It's not what it's for. If you have some things you really got to get off of you, join a boxing gym or something. You know what I'm saying? Do it the healthy way, I'm telling y'all, because you don't want quantum entanglements. You do not want the wrong quantum entanglements right now, okay? Yes, anything that, you slip up and make a mistake, anything can be remedied, but some of these roads are long. You don't want to get on a long road situation that is hard. So get into your strength and decide where you're going to apply that God power instead of taking it in the direction of wanting to flex the wrong way. Flex it the right way. What are your goals? Put that towards your goals. If something comes to try you again, put that towards that something that comes to try you. Go into the crown chakra wave. Like, regulate that energy in your body. Will it to go up to the crown chakra. Because at that point, you make it to 9D and you bring that energy back down to the body. You're goody. You can do that. You can move the energy through your chakras because it's been cleared. There's been a path, at least however big the pathway is, depends on how much work you've been doing, but you're cleared at that point. Divine feminines, come out of the worry. The up-leveling opportunities here are going to help you to take a whole big load and burden off of your back. And then some of you might be feeling, well, what do I do now? Because some of y'all got used to that burden and almost, I don't want to say romanticized it, but almost came to take comfort in it in a certain type of way, because women have learned how to adapt, and we had to figure out through hard conditions, through generations of oppression, suffering, being discounted, being cracked on by people for having emotions, oh, she's going to cry. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is generational and it's also societal. So some of that coping mechanism became getting comfortable with things that should be uncomfortable for you. So be aware when it comes to that. So some of the tendency at this point to tend to vampiric people in your life when they're not in the right mode. Because people go through vampiric things. It's not to say, like, when I say energy vampires, it's a state of consciousness. I don't feel like anyone has to be doomed to that. It's a choice. But you want to be careful with your energy. And you want to make sure you're in a state where you're not accommodating something that's just a trick to pull your energy in. All right? So here is where you listen to your heart. You listen to your energy. Are you feeling drained? Are you in your power? Can you be in your power with the people you're connecting with? And if you can't, if you find like you have to make yourself smaller, or you have the temptation to make yourself smaller, that tells you everything you need to know. You do not have to accommodate people on a level where you make yourself smaller so they can feel comfortable. It's a recipe. It's self-rejection, number one, and it's self-rejection in degrees, so it can be very sneaky and very subtle with how it begins to mess with your life. But it begins to little by little give little pieces of your power over to a whole bunch of people, especially when you're an empath. You know what I'm saying? So frequency and vibration. Some of y'all just need to listen to affirmations. Some of y'all, divine feminines, the energies are as such that you just need to be in a space where you can listen, where you can take things in. Sacred Waters is the card you're dealing with, so that actually supports the energy stream that's coming through that I'm picking up on. So I have some affirmations on the channel, albeit they're peaceful release affirmations, which are great for the waning moon, if that's the wave that you feel that you're in. But if you feel like if you're more so looking for not necessarily release, but like to go to a higher frequency, I have not posted those yet. I don't think I have. So I would recommend, there are some channels out there. I'll see if I can find some recommendations to put in the description box. But if I didn't find anything, I strongly can recommend, because I deal with a lot of my own. Go and search for it. Search for it on YouTube. Search it on Google, Vimeo, Patreon, whatever your swerve is, and go with what resonates. Use your intuition the same way you use your intuition to come to this reading. What's the best video for me to listen to right now that's going to have high frequency affirmations that will put me in the right vibration? And that's going to help you, because you need to receive right now, but what you need to be receiving needs to be empowering. It needs to be reassuring, is what's coming through spirit. Now, once you get your 90, the way the 90 energy from Think, Feel, Embody is working out is some of you need to be reminded or really told repetitively. So if you need to be dealing with affirmations, the same way, self-rejection happened with, things don't work out for me. And those types of thoughts, that's a repetitive thought. It's had so much power because it's been repetitive thought that's been laid down. Well, guess what? That works for positivity too. So if you feel tempted to quit at any point, just realize, and then you're abandoning your ability to be the creatrix of your own space. And that would be a shame. You know what I'm saying? I say that without judgment because, y'all are portals, ladies. All right? Your realm, you're the keeper of your realm. So you can decide what goes on there and what's allowed to be in your energy field. And this is where you build your boundaries. You do have the power to do this inherently from very, very, very deep down. Why else would a society constructed pretty much to pin itself against you and what you represent go so hard? It was going so hard because it feared your power. It's time for you to recover that. So the more you work with this, make sure you're releasing. As you're up-leveling, avoid the traps of ego, because if you get into like a dark goddess energy is amazing, but if you go in the ego direction with it, then you kind of take away from what it can provide to you. What I feel when I've dealt with dark goddess energy, it's empowering. It's that Kundalini level energy. where you can clear your field and purge. And you can purge without question, without that guilt that's been so conditioned into the feminine wave and the 3D level of things. When you can get to that point of not having guilt anymore, you're at a point of absolute certainty, and now you can command what takes place in your space, period. I feel like I can promise you that from experience. And no, it's not easy, but we're dealing with the types of situations right now and the types of energies and waves right now. It's not meant to be easy, because the rewards when you come through this are huge. But the reason we have to be tested is so that we can handle that level of power. The ego can't handle level of power. If you, like that we're coming into, if you hand someone who is highly egotistical power, what happens? Well, look at society. That's what happens. Everyone suffers to some degree in the hands of, tyranny or tyranny. Whatever face it decides to wear. And if it's a tyrannical system, what I'm saying, that, is rolling out, like, subtle tyrants where you can't really see the, and then overt tyrants, which we've been dealing with that nonsense, in the current time or what have you. It's a certain kind of system. You don't want to go there. What you want is to be able to get into a space where you're safe and you're secure and your boundaries are respected. That's what you truly want. That's at the heart level. That's what you truly want. So go there and ask for that. You don't need power over anyone. You just need to be in touch with your own power within for what you allow to come into your life. And that includes poverty. You don't want poverty no more, don't allow it to come in. No. This realm right here, this little microcosmic realm right here says no. Prosperity can come in though. Fake love? Nah. I tried that. True love can come in though. That's what you're aiming to get. And Spirit is saying pay attention to your visions. Learn to decode them. And Spirit wants me to leave it there, so I'm going to. Pay attention to any visions you're having. You can write them down and decode them. Obviously, there are messages in it for you, but for whatever reason, and there's always a reason, Spirit's clipping it right there and not giving you any more information. Now, when you ground this energy into clear sight energy, that's third eye energy, and here it's through an eighth dimensional aspect. Normally I would say the third eye is like 60, but the way that these cards were channeled, it's for particular energetic pathways that have to do with the quantum root and getting in touch with our quantum roots. You know what I'm saying? Healing our quantum roots, all of that. So, embodying them. Spirit keeps... Learning how to be the god of your own realm. Or goddess, right? It's coming through Spirit. So, when this comes into your third eye, some of you might deal with headaches, all right? Do not be alarmed. This is usually taking place when you're clearing different energetic pathways in your head. Relax, sleep, that's coming through Spirit. Don't let anyone make demands on your time when you're in those waves. And Spirit is relaying you're going to get through it relatively quickly. It's not saying it's going to manifest that way for all of you, but this energy is so intense but that's usually the energy has to be intense for some third eye awakenings, certain levels of third eye awakenings. All right, remember God vision is there as the subtext of this card, so it's what you're coming into, that goddess vision, ladies. So impatiens is the flower associated with this. If you want to go online, find the impatiens flower and meditate with it, like on an astral level. You can meditate with the spirit of it, because the astral precedes the physical. So it was there first. We've been taught like this is, led to believe like this is first and only, this physical realm. And nothing could be further from the truth. So you can actually talk to the the ancestor of, whatever impatiens pop up throughout, the harvest seasons and whatnot, and get in certain frequencies there. It helps you to have more of a straight back. It helps you to have a sense of serenity and wisdom when you're dealing with hard issues, when you're dealing with immature people. It's a very lovely flower to work with. And I find it like empowering. It feels like, to me anyways, how I've experienced it, or whatever levels I've experienced it so far, like it's like that grandmother energy, like that wise grandmother, but the wise grandmother who's not like cutting with her words. She's caring, and but she's got a way of conveying a message to you where you get the point and you realize it's about the point and no one's going to baby you. You know what I'm saying? But you'll get what you need, and you'll get the care and the concern, and you'll know that if there was an emergency, your loved ones got your back. Your loved ones in the spirit world, your loved ones in your soul tribe, and your loved ones here. Those that are in that true love wave connection. All right. All right, so I think that is your reading. I will remind that the card that came up at the top of the deck for y'all is Allow Yourself to Be Cared For. And I want to preface this by saying receptivity is a subtext. If you are not willing to receive on very deep levels, what you are looking for can't come in because you're not letting it. So when we allow ourselves to be cared for, even if we weren't cared for properly as children, you know what I'm saying? And this is not to throw shade at anybody's parents or guardians, but everyone does what they know how to do at any given time, and that's just reality when we cut to the chase of it. So allowing yourself to be cared for means I'm worthy of being cared for. You understand what I'm saying? And that's revolutionary on an interspatial level. It changes everything. So as much as you can get into that wave, if you have the deck, meditate with the card. If you don't have the deck, then turn it into an affirmation. Even if you have the deck, turn it into an affirmation. I highly recommend it. I allow myself to be cared for. I allow myself to be cared for. I allow myself to be cared for. Anything you tell your brain's going to work with. And whatever it's, whatever amount you're putting into that. You know what I'm saying? Amount of energy that you're putting into that is ultimately going to be what you get. So if you're mostly telling yourself everything's going to fail, and then things are failing, well, it's not a surprise. But if you are telling yourself, I allowed myself to be cared for, and I'm going to be supported, the support's going to come. I don't know where it's going to come from, but it's going to come. And that's when the miracles happen, because you're letting them. You're letting total shifts of the old go into the past where they belong and be done. They served you to wisen you and make you wiser. So you can let it go with that. Oh, I'm glad for the wisdom, and let it go with that. No hard feeling. You don't have to harbor hard feelings. Hard feelings can cause you to keep track in a situation to work it out. And do you really want to? You really want to do that? So, I'm going to conclude here so I can move on to group 2. I am going to put a hotline number in the description, so y'all will already be seeing it by the time this is posted. And, which will be tonight when I conclude, group 2s. And, keep your heads up. You're going to be okay, but it is a decision. If you decide not to be okay, you have the right to decide to not be okay. But the waves right now are such that they're supportive. You know what I'm saying? If you allow them to be. If you cast onto the ethers that the worst is going to happen, and the worst or close to the worst happens, don't be surprised. Take control of your mind. This is the power you're being afforded. It's the golden ticket. It's the golden ticket. Literally, literally in the sense of the chakra system. You don't want no more of this trauma, this generational trauma. Don't have no more. That'll be all for me, thanks. No, thank you. I'm full. I've got enough of that to, you know what I'm saying? I got enough of that math. Let's see what prosperity and true love feels like. Let's see what optimal health feels like. I'm worthy of it. All right, y'all. Peace and blessings on your ascension journey, and thank you for tuning in. I'm going to move on to group 2. Group 2. Peace. Just going to take a moment to clear the deck. Alright, so I'm being instructed for y'all that y'all are basically up-leveling. You have I Accept True Love. The Soul Family card. Soul Family is the subtext. And that is... at the top of the deck. Sorry, y'all. I was becoming like hyper-conscious. I was like, I hope that's not going to make a loud noise because I moved that on the table. In the divine masculine yang placement, either for the divine embodiment or for the divine masculine energy within you, your spirit, what makes you go. Live your dreams, y'all. That's a card that you got. It's a 10D card, and Sacred Dreamer is a subtext. This is a wave that's going around. It came up in a recent pick a card reading. Perhaps it's the same group. I'm not sure at this moment. Sacred blooming is the suit. So you're in a sacred blooming phase, which means, you know, it can be a sensitive phase where it's like, do I loosen my petals or do I stay like tightly bound, you know, in this sense of security? Follow it. The spirit is saying follow the wave. It's kind of like you have opportunities right now big opportunities to access your dreams, to live the life you want to live. And you're going to want to be careful about letting fear hold you back. All right. So you've done the work. Spirit's giving me a nod. So group 2s, you know, you've done the work to get here frequency-wise. What are you afraid of? What y'all afraid of? You're in your sacred dreamer space. This is where your dreams can bloom on a high level. You know? Pardon, there was a knock at the door. Returning back to the focus of the reading. The second guessing of yourself is not going to serve you, divine masculines, or those of you dealing with a divine masculine energy. Some folks are not necessarily divine masculine embodiments, but they're processing a lot of divine masculine energy. Your dreams are worth something. Really get that through to yourself. They're worth something. Like some of you may have dealt with people who shut down your voice and you learned to be quiet or not speak around other people. Some of you may even have like some walking on eggshell situations. Okay, Spirit's giving a nod. Yeah, walking on eggshell situations. You got to trust yourself to access certain aspects of yourself in a frequency that empowers you. Placing too much need for a cue or a sign or approval, it disempowers you. You know, it puts you in kind of a dependent place. When we're talking about God consciousness and reaching those levels, certain levels of God consciousness, it's all about getting into a self-trust. So you're in there's a sweet space around you. So if you're not, for whatever reason, picking up on that, and I do think a lot of you are, because it's an overwhelming energy. Remember, it's 10D. This is the time to plant seeds. This is the time to dream your dreams bravely and to know they can happen. I'm telling you. And even the astral electromagnetics, you know, of the zodiac construct. It's a construct, but it has electromagnetics. Everything has electromagnetics. And because it's in the astral and it has some bearing on this physical realm, you can work with it to your advantage. You don't want to look at it like it's caging you, because it ain't got the power to do that unless you let it. But you can work with it to its advantage. What is its power? And those Taurus moon waves are still available. You know what I'm saying? The full moon waves, they're still available to tap into. It's usually about 2 to 3 days that those full moon waves will be present. You know what I'm saying? So stay in that. These can anchor into a stability. So the dreams you plant can become stable. And that is ultimately what you're looking for, because I'm picking up like a deep kind of insecurity that you guys are dealing with and have dealt with. I'm picking up that you guys are givers. I'm picking up that you guys are, lovers. And that's beautiful, and it's a very yin energy. But at this time, giving too much of yourself could cause you to find yourself in abusive situations where that very beautiful light of yours is not treated with reciprocity, but treated with something that's hungry, just feeding. And this is really important that you come into that awareness. A smiling face does not always mean the intentions are good. Someone suddenly behaving on a honeymoon phase in a relationship does not mean everything's going to be okay now. It's a way to disarm you, get you out of your defenses so that you become receptive again. And if those of you who are dealing with abusive situations, you want to be careful with that wave, because it's a lower wave, and it's a dependent wave, and it can cause you to place trust in the wrong people, places, and things. All right? So I am worthy of respect. I am worthy of love. These are affirmations you want to keep saying to yourself throughout the day. Do the work. This is not the time to say, I'll get to that next week. I promise you, this is not the time for that. This is the time to affirm what it is you are building for the future. And that is how you're going to end. I'm seeing like it's 101, but it was like the 101 and 44 seconds right when I said that. So that 144 was in there. So, it's like divine messaging in that. This is the time to bridge to your higher timelines. Remember that aspect of yourself that sees what you're dealing with. And is like, no, I don't want that. That's all you got to do. All you have to do is acknowledge what you don't want right now. And now go and once you're done with that, you don't want to stay there. But what do I want? Because when you're in that wave, when you're in touch with that darker, the sacred dark aspect of your energy that is honest and truthful with you. When you pay attention to it, it can guide you, and this is not your path. So that you can move on to the correct path. And people who've been, if you have a lot of vampiric energies feeding on you, then this is one of those situations where if you have to back away slowly, or I'm just not available today, or I don't feel well, and you gradually over time have to disconnect yourself, then, go on and do it that way. But whenever you start to feel like you have no energy around certain people, it's time to go. Period. Yeah, I gotta go. No, I really gotta go. I gotta get some sleep. Because you just got juice for energy. And little by little, the more you respect yourself, it's going to become a habit. And you're going to be like, I don't feel like going around so-and-so today. Every time I do, whatever I'm working on gets thrown off for a week or two. And sometimes I've missed important connection moments where I would have gotten somewhere, but this person was holding me up. No, this person cannot hold you up without your permission. Or these people, whoever, it could be a group of people. Because sometimes when you're really powerful, they'll put a group of people around you to try and hold you down. They can't hold you down without your permission. So sometimes you have to dig deep to get into touch with the truth of you. And when you're in touch with the truth of you, you can get in touch with your dreams. Now, that digging deep taps into the divine feminine. I'm going to move right onto the divine feminine card, which is be honest with yourself. Illuminate is the subtext. When you're honest with yourself, the light can come into you. Or the light can, turn on is another way to put it. It is very liberating. It's a 4D card. This is you getting in touch with your heart. Your heart knows the way. And this month especially, your heart is your compass, is the energy for the emotional placement. So this is a great time for soul searching. It's a great time for shedding tears, divine feminines, and those of you dealing with the divine feminine aspect of yourself, which is intuition, the yin portion of you, the part that feels and senses. Pay attention, unburden yourself, release the tears, acknowledge what is hurt, acknowledge what you are not trying to be hurt by anymore. This is how you're going to find your strength. This is how you're going to find the word no. That's going to save you from the worlds of headache. All right? I think you know this by now, Divine Feminines. I think some of you have had to bite back the vitriol and the hostility, because I'm picking up hostility from some of y'all as I'm tuning into this, where it's like you've wanted to fight because you're so tired. But there's a way to work with this energy where you can release it. And you can say, this is just simply not worth my time. But what is worth your time? And how did you get caught up in that to begin with? And avoid beating yourself up, because every one of us has made mistakes. That's how you learn. But are you going to learn this time, or do you want to go through it again? And I think that's a great way when you're dealing with your mind and your mind's ambivalent. You want to go through this again? Cause, like, you want to try this again and see if you're going to have a different outcome? Because most of the times, things show you what they are pretty early on. And then it just repeats as a cycle. And if you know that you're dealing with some people that you've grown to love, but they're vampiric, they're not healthy for you right now. They get to be the fair weather friends. When things are good and you're throwing a party, you want to have them over, But then they don't have them laying up in your house for 3 days. Or don't be laying up in their house for 3 days after that party. It don't need to go to the instant bond again thing. It just doesn't. Because it doesn't serve you. And who's more important in this equation? Well, I would imagine because you're living your life, you are more important in this equation. If there's no emergency, if there's no fire, then you don't have to go into empath mode to offer your neck to someone who's trying to suck blood. This is the habit that empaths need to break. And we have the grand opportunity to do so at this point, because it's like that or click off and flip out at the wrong moment. Because if shadow doesn't get respected, shadow's going to have its day. You could work with shadow to where you utilize that energy, that Kundalini energy, to benefit your life. And you use that power to benefit your life. That's why, like, you listen to people. I got to recommend Tony Robbins, because he's one of those people you can listen to and you know he's been through it. He knows that poverty life. And he pushed through it and he made it through. You know what I'm saying? And that doesn't come easy. Carving muscles into your stomach, you know what I'm saying, at the gym, that doesn't come easy. But it comes, and then you have, like, the strongest midsection afterwards. You want to keep, looking at undeveloped areas of your life and wishing it were easier? Okay. There's plenty of people who would love to join you. Or do you want to go where it is you want to go? You want to have a singing career? Get out there and start working on it. You're an artist. You know what I'm saying? You're a visual artist. Get on your grind. Start practicing your techniques. Every day. You want to box? Get in the ring. Join the local gym. Do your body work. Do your calisthenics. Commit. What you commit to and you follow through with is what you get to have. And that includes true love. All right, so you can come, instead of fixating and getting pulled into quantum entanglements, remember the advice, if you haven't listened to the monthly, I highly recommend go back and listen to the monthly, because that is the temptation this month. Things that try to pull you into quantum entanglements and bait you and have you out of your head. And that in the fire energy, there's a lot of electricity energy. So it can become very intense, it can become very... and a lot of divine feminines been dealing with fiery energy, or people who are more inclined to yin energy or divine energy, yin energy, divine feminine energy. Some of you, it might be like a life path number in your numerology. It might be a day number in your numerology, or what have you, if you rock with that type of math. Illuminate. By being honest with yourself, you could bring the light into the situation, and now you can say, I don't want to deal with this anymore. I don't even have to have this argument. And you can move on. And Spirit is saying, pay attention to your dreams. There are answers in your dreams. Aha moments Spirit is giving. All right? I'm going to move on to the up-leveling, because you have sacred waters, higher astral. So those of you that are still dealing with mid-level astral, lower-level astral, just go up to the higher astral in frequency. Some of you can go, there are some high binaurals, and I would say start in the 700s. 700 hertz. Spirit is saying 9, so maybe the 963 hertz is what you should be working on. 963, pardon. There's kitchen prep going on in the background. 963 hertz is what is being recommended through Spirit. So higher astral. Get into that wave. It's 8D. This is an 8D aspect of yourself. You're working on self-mastery. This is for both the divine feminine and divine masculine in general and within. And some of you are probably going to have some vision experiences, whether it takes place in the dream plane or whether it's taking place while you're awake, or both. You're being presented through that with the opportunity to realize that you actually have technology right there at your third eye level. And when you're ready, you can engage and you can actually see these realms. Those of you that are already seeing these realms may be dealing with some astral conflict. And the way to deal with that is to go up higher, go deeper within into a higher wave, and you'll up level to a higher level of the astral where you don't have to deal with the conflict. And that's how to get past that. And Spirit is saying that's all that needs to be said. What? Spirit is saying, excuse me, y'all. Spirit is saying y'all are a quick group. You're a quick group, so that means you're picking this up very quickly. You have that. You're quick learners. You have that aptitude. So get in your quick learner wave. And if you have any questions that weren't addressed here, feel free to leave it in the comments. This is one of those readings that needed to happen because these energies came through pretty serious and intense. And I probably not every single video will I probably be able to expound immediately. It depends on what's going on this end. But if you need some clarity and I'm able to help, I will be glad to, because we all need to get past this rough patch. Everybody who gets past this rough patch is empowering the world to get past these undead timelines that are trying to pull people back into a lower wave. All right, y'all. I thank you so much for tuning in. If you're not subscribed, please tick the... or if you're not subscribed and you want notifications, please press the subscribe button and tick the notification bell when you do it, because otherwise you may not always get notifications when they drop. So this is like the thing. You've probably heard it from tons of channels by now, but you've got to click the bell if you want to know when the readings and the energy transmissions and just Ascension updates and Ascension commentary comes up. Otherwise, you might have to go look for it. And those of you who are subscribed, it's the same already. It's the same thing. If you don't have the notification bell ticked, that's something you would want to remember to do if you want to be notified as the readings actually drop. Because there's something going on with the algorithms with YouTube, where that's just how they're rocking things now. And YouTube is owned by Google, and they tend to change things, you know what I'm saying, every so often with their algorithms and their rollouts. So that's what's working right now, for you to be able to keep accessing content without having to go off and search for it if you've got a lot of subscriptions for your account. And I think that, and if you enjoyed the video and you take the time to like it, thank you. I do appreciate that. It helps Google or YouTube, aka YouTube, to basically, it's like you giving a sign of approval. So the more a video is approved of, the more it rises up and it can gain visibility. If you feel like this is a video that would help others, then that's your vote actually helps to convince YouTube to grant more visibility so that this service is available to more people. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in. And do remember, if you're having an especially hard time, feel free to leave something in the comments. Unfortunately, we don't have a message box on YouTube anymore. So it is what it is. I am in the process of setting up my IG, and so I will have DMs in the future, but I, of course, have to figure out how to organize that properly time-wise. And, all in due time. And if you do feel like you're in a crisis moment, I will have information. So you can check the description box if you feel like you need some care on a level that requires a hotline. All right, y'all. Be good to yourselves. Peace and blessings on your Ascension journey.